Hey, well, I got you here, Kirsten. I did get your email about your capstone. I guess it didn't come through or something like that. So
You never got it.
it doesn't look like I got it.
Okay. Do you want me to
Um,
try and redo it again?
yeah, see if you can retrieve it or just email me. That's okay.
Okay.
Whatever it was. Sorry about that. Yeah, I don't know. Looked through and I didn't see it.
I think my Wi-Fi that day, like I was using my dad's iPad because it was so bad when it was raining, so I'd maybe just never, I don't really know.
That's fine.
Luke, I did just email you that MOV audio file, and if it doesn't work and if it just looks, just let me know. You might want to put that full screen though on top of it when it's playing because it's just a black MOV. So just make sure you have the full screen over it, just as a heads up. Okay, and I'll put that script in the script. So. Yes. Yeah, it's in there. Yeah, it should be.
It is all voluntary. So these are with myself, with Kirk, with Nick and Kyle. These are all voluntary actions with the goal of trying to help out the greater good and understanding what's going on our campuses and not having students here. So I think once I talk to Kirk and once we talk through the why and the what, I think the great thing with not only Nick and Kyle, but with all of our coaches is the discussion shifts right away on what can we do to serve and what can we do to help. So these aren't taxing discussions. These are all of our coaches.
I also have a command in there that says NSOT just so
want to contribute to the greater good.
The trick there for you, Luke, is to notate how long it takes. Give yourself some extra pad with that full screen, even after the SOT ends. So that way, when you see those levels that are peaking start going down again, that's when you know to cue your person. That's the trick. Without being able to hear it, you just have to pay attention to your levels. It's awkward for everybody. But that sure is a nice looking full screen.
It is all voluntary. So these are, with myself, with Kurt. It is all voluntary. So these are, with myself, with Kirk, with Nick and Kyle. These are all voluntary actions.
Nice job on that, Ariel. Good quick turnaround on everything.
Thank you. No problem. I wish I could have listened longer, but that's okay.
It is all voluntary. So these are, with it is. It is all voluntary. So these are, with myself, with Kirk, with Nick and Kyle. These are all voluntary.
And did you just click through that example? Yeah, and then you just go back to her the way it was before. Yeah, I think that's just fine. Yeah, that's fine. That's what I did. I created a new so that at least I could have their name up for like 3 seconds. But yeah, so that's how I would have done it.
County.
here's my spiel about sports today. It's not super long, but we do have a SOT.
As long as you have an audio output on whatever scene you have up on OBS, I should be able to hear the mic check. Now, if you had that full screen that had no audio sources on it, I'm not going to hear any of your mic checks on the stream. Right now, I see. I just saw Zach yawning. Oh yeah.
Good. Cool. Tonight on Murrow News 8, an update on COVID-19 cases in Whitman County.
And some coaches may be getting different pay next year. Murrow News 8 starts now.
Murrow News 8 starts right now.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Zach Miller.
And I'm Caitlin Rappel. Welcome back to Murrow News 8.
The Director of Public Health in Whitman County told Murrow News 8 earlier this afternoon the number of COVID-19 cases in the county has stayed at 12 today. With the number of negative tests at 401, the Whitman County has not had a death related to COVID-19 yet. Previously, it was reported that a man died from COVID, but later the department retracted this because the man lived in Whitman County in the past, but did not live here at the time of his death. The department is also still not releasing the placement of the positive cases because they want people to continue social distancing even if there is no one in their community with a positive test result.
A two-vehicle crash earlier this morning closed a section of the Pullman-Moscow Highway. The crash was reported at 6:54 a.m. at the intersection of State Route 270 and Terraview Drive. 2 people were transported to Pullman Regional Hospital, one with life-threatening injuries. The closed portion was Bishop Boulevard to just east of Airport Road near the Idaho border. The section was reopened around 1 p.m. today.
Now we have a report from Kirsten Rosser about what state officials are thinking about moving forward during the coronavirus. Kirsten?
Thanks, Zach. Well, as of today, the East and West Coast have teamed up to form their own regional pacts. That way they can work together on how to reopen after the stay-at-home orders are lifted. It first started with the East Coast. Governor Andrew Cuomo said his state, New York, as well as New Jersey, Connecticut, Pennsylvania, Delaware, Rhode Island, and Massachusetts will be a part of that East Coast group. They plan to name a public health and an economic official to kind of work on a plan of reopening. Then the West Coast states of California, Oregon, and Washington announced that they'll be joining the forces as well. They kind of plan to begin an incremental release of these stay-at-home orders. Governor Gavin Newsom of California, where I currently am, announced that the West Coast will find a safe yet responsible way to kind of get things back into business and slowly restart again. So that's all I have here, but back to you, Caitlin.
Thanks, Kirsten. Well, after a 10-hour meeting on April 3rd, the Service and Activities Fee Committee members decided to make budget cuts that would allow for the S&A fees to stay at $558 for the 2020 to 2021 school year. Committee members like Quentin Bercampus did not feel comfortable raising the fees when so many students are struggling financially due to COVID-19. Enrollment is expected to decrease in the fall as well, which will also decrease the revenue coming from the fee. Maggie McFadden, WSU Budget Office and Policy Analyst, said that a 0% increase on the fee means requested allocations from student groups will have to be cut by about 12% in order to avoid overspending.
WSU has finalized its candidates for provost and executive vice president down to 4. Andre Dennis Wright, the Dean of the College of Agricultural, Human, and Natural Resource Sciences at WSU, had an online interview with the search committee today. Robert McMaster, the Vice Provost and Dean of the Undergraduate Education at the University of Minnesota, will interview tomorrow. Wednesday's interview will be with Tammy Idle, the Vice Provost and Professor of Sociology at Montana State University. The 4th finalist won't be identified until 48 hours before their interview on April 20th. All interviews will take place from 1 to 2 p.m.
The second draft of the 2020 to 2025 WSU strategic plan has new revisions based on the feedback received from the WSU community. The goal of the plan is to have WSU be recognized as one of the nation's top 25 research institutions while also maintaining their principles as a land-grant research university. Revisions include the elimination of coded language to focus on dialogue between communities, an emphasis on sustainability, and WSU's role in responding to healthcare needs of Washington residents. Well, it seems like Pullman isn't getting those April showers we always hear so much about. What does our forecast look like today, Sophia?
Well, you're right, Caitlin. Actually, today the high in Pullman is around 51 degrees, and it will be mostly sunny throughout the entire day. So take advantage of the sun today, but also remember to stay distant from others you haven't been around. So maybe avoid parks, for example. That doesn't mean you can't soak up that sun in your backyard, though, so don't worry about that. And then it's going to get a little colder again tonight, with the low being around 35 degrees. Tomorrow looks like another beautiful day with the high being 59. Again, try and refrain from parks or hanging out with friends you may have not seen since this all started. Try and take advantage of the great weather as best you can, just from a distance. Across the state, we are seeing lots of sunshine. Olympia and Seattle have highs in the low 60s today. Yakima has a high of 63, and the Tri-Cities have a high of 66. Olympia is the only low tonight that will get below 40 over on the west and central side of the state. Spokane has a high of 54 and a low of 39. And again, Pullman has a high of 51 and a low of 35. We are seeing some great weather across the state, so you can take a walk with your dog or with a roommate. But if not, staying inside may not be much fun with this weather, but it's still the safest thing to do. The rest of the week in Pullman looks just as nice as today, with a high of 58 tomorrow, 54 on Wednesday, 55 Thursday, and 63 on Friday. No rain at all this week, but the nights still will get a bit chilly, so just be aware of that, especially if you're like an essential worker and need to drive. Your windshield still could potentially get some frost on there. But for the most part, it looks like lightweight clothing weather for the rest of the week. That's all I have today. Back to you, Zach.
Thanks, Sophia. The Census Bureau wants more time for the 2020 census to be completed. The Bureau asked Congress today for an extension to October 31st instead of the previous deadline, August 15th. The Bureau asked for the delay after they shut down their field office mid-March and won't reopen until sometime after June 1st. This means some states will not receive population information until June 2021 instead of in February 2021. Now we have Errol Yakabazi with some news about voluntary pay cuts for some key WSU figures. Ariel?
Thanks, Zach. According to the Seattle Times, WSU coaches Nick Rolovich and Kyle Smith, along with WSU Director of Athletics Pat Chun, will be receiving a 5% salary reduction in light of COVID-19 to help make up for lost NCAA distribution. These salary containments will help save a total of a little more than $283,000 in total expenditures. These temporary cost-cutting strategies are in line with other athletic departments across the nation. I did listen in on a conference call today, just before this newscast, with the Director of Athletics, Pat Chun, and when asked about if these decisions were voluntary, here's how he responded.
It is all voluntary. So these are, with myself, with Kirk, with Nick and Kyle, these are all voluntary actions. With the goal of trying to help out the greater good and understanding what's going on our campuses and not having students here. So I think once I talk to Kirk and once we talk through the why and the what, I think the great thing with not only Nick and Kyle but with all of our coaches is the discussion shifts right away on what can we do to serve and what can we do to help. So these aren't taxing discussions. These are all of our coaches know what's at stake here, and all of our coaches want to contribute to the greater good.
According to ESPN, Tarvaris Jackson, former quarterback for the Vikings and the Seahawks, was killed in a car crash on Sunday. Jackson was Russell Wilson's backup in the Seahawks Super Bowl 48 against the Denver Broncos. Jackson was also the Tigers quarterback's coach since 2019. Coming out of ESPN, an idea was proposed by an NBA league employee that a 25-day program could be implemented for players to go through before they resume gameplay. This plan would basically consist of players undergoing an 11-day stretch of individual workouts, where they maintain social distancing, of course, while also getting back in shape. Next, if authorized by medical officials, the idea would allow for a 2-week-long training camp with entire team participation. According to ESPN, medical teams and league executives have expressed concern about the NBA's timeline for the rest of the season. Some NBA executives, according to the ESPN article, believe players may need almost a month of prep before returning to the court. That's all I've got for sports today. Back to you, Zach.
Thanks, Ariel. Because of the COVID-19 restrictions, Uniontown wasn't able to host their annual Easter egg hunt. According to the Moscow Pullman Daily News, the small town instead had the Easter Bunny pass out bags of candy and toys in front of City Hall. Markings were made on the ground to make sure everyone stayed 6 feet apart. People were also able to drive right up to the bunny and get their candy if they wanted to. Well, that's all from us here today at Murrow News 8.
You can watch us live on YouTube every weekday at 5:30.
And remember, news content can still be found at nwpb.org/MN8. And don't forget to follow us on social media.
Have a good night, stay home, and stay healthy.
Great job producing today, Luke. I think he's trying to make sure that it all went to YouTube.
Luke, you can start talking about things you liked, disliked. I'm just going to clip out a couple of highlights here and for it. It was extremely smooth. I thought it looked really nice. It came across really well on the YouTube channel. In fact, audio sounded really good. I'd say Zach's sounded a little more echoey, that compressed internet audio. I would just love for you all to have microphones. I know that's not a reasonable ask, but everybody else, I mean, it sounded good. Video was really clear. My internet connectivity, I felt like wasn't great, but it came across great on the stream at least. So that was good. And then I have my notes down here. There was only, oh yeah, a random note for you, Luke. You could see your cursor moving across the screen every once in a while. Yeah. All right. Yeah. So that was one random thing I noticed. Kirsten, your live shot, nice and conversational. I would say don't get too casual. You used the word kinda like 5 times. I think I counted 5 times where you said, Governor Newsom kind of plans to, Governor Cuomo has kind of decided. You said kinda a lot. So
Cool.
don't keep it conversational without being too,
Right.
loosey goosey casual with it. But I do appreciate the conversational nature of it. If you had
Yeah.
only said that once, I wouldn't have latched onto it. But I was like, every time somebody makes a decision, they kind of made that decision.
Yeah,
So
yeah, they're not really too sure.
yeah, just I think I'm gonna kind of shut down all the businesses.
Yeah,
So,
they're kind of thinking about it.
I noticed that misspelling in the Tavares Jackson thing. I think funny thing, Ariel, I think you said it the way it was misspelled. It was like Tarvaris Jackson.
Well,
or
I
something
thought
like
that's
that.
how it was in the ESPN article.
I'm pretty sure that's how it's spelled.
Yeah, I think, yeah, because it was in the ESPN article. I noticed, I thought it was spelled the right way, and then I looked, and then I'm like, oh, there's an extra R in there.
Just pronounced Tavares.
Yeah, I did. I mean, I can look again, but I'm pretty sure that it's how it's spelled. Yeah.
Yeah, because I remember reading a couple articles this morning and not knowing beforehand that it was with an R before the V too.
Yeah.
So I think that is how it's spelled. But
okay.
I might have mispronounced it. That's on here, but I think it's how it is spelled.
Well, I'll call Roberta Kelly and make sure that that's okay.
I'd love to hear from
the way
Roberta.
we did it. Hold on, sorry, making one more highlight here before I. Okay, Sophia, really nice weather. I have no real notes there. I thought it was good. There are a couple times where I'm like, I can tell she's reading off of a script and not just giving it to us naturally and conversationally. So beware of that. I mean, it's easiest to write a script exactly how you would say it, which is why some scientific terms are fine. They make you sound real sharp and smart. But just make sure that it's not, it's not something that you wouldn't normally say that doesn't sound natural coming out of your mouth, which I know is a challenge. Let's see. Okay, and then we have the newscast didn't have a whole lot of visual variety. I wish we had more video. We have census video, and we talked about the census. So we have to think about those types of things. I mean, I have an archive right here that we have some access to. Now, the funny thing is, I was like, didn't Ariel do a story on the census? And then the next person I saw on screen was Ariel. She was right after that. I was like, she was here. So if you have video of something on a story you've done, speak up and be like, hey, let's get a little visual variety in there. And speaking of that, for our kickers, I almost want to set that as like a requirement. If we have a kicker about something like, oh, neat story, oh, look at this, let's make sure we have something to look at. I don't know if there were photos of that Uniontown drive-by, Easter. Maybe there was on the Moscow Pullman Daily News. Let's do our best to reach out and ask permission to use that kind of stuff. Just because I think the kickers are just a lot more impact than rather just telling you, oh, this is a really nice thing and they painted the ground and things like that. Okay, cool. I'll take your word for it. We want to have some of that visual information to go with the script that we have. Yes, and I'll reiterate what Luke said earlier. The execution of that VOSOT was really good. Ariel, you did a nice job with your reads, very conversational with sports. And I thought how that ended up coming across was really nice. And so, I mean, not coincidentally, that was the one spot where we had somebody else's voice, some other kind of visual information. That kind of stuff is what keeps the newscast moving. And it also happened to have the newest information that we had in our newscast. So there's a reason that it just felt like that was a really nice part of it. And it was because of the visuals. It was because of the newness of it. And that's, just always happens to be what sticks with viewers. So it's really important that we get the new information, that we try to make these as visually appealing as possible. Now, all that said, that was a really smooth show. So well done in putting that together. Luke, I know it's tedious, and I know at about 3 o'clock you go, oh my gosh, this is just a lot to do. And it seemed the Zoom, formatting seemed to come together pretty well for you. Even, adding a VO does not take that much more effort. You create a scene, you add a media source, You add your audio output capture, you add a bug and a lower third that already exists, and then there you go. You've built that scene. So now that we've been through 6 of these, almost half of us have done put together one of these OBS newscasts. So we see that there are a lot of possibilities with it. So continue to build off of that, be creative with it. The standard remains, we want our newscast to be visually appealing. We have some video, but we're going to need to crowdsource a lot more and try to get people to help us out. News organizations, especially like Pullman Radio News, I think at one point this semester, Evan Ellis even said, yeah, just put my name on it. I don't care what you use. But it's still good to use that practice to reach out. If you see Moscow Pullman Daily News has something, they might just go, oh, that's fine. You can appeal to them, say, we're students. We're trying to do this broadcast. This is our learning environment. You can get a little more leeway than, KHQ couldn't ask KXLY to borrow video, so to speak. So we have a little more leeway with that. So try to effort that as it moves on. Otherwise, collaboration's going well. I think shows are coming together really fast from a content perspective. So maybe that's an opportunity for us to try to do a little bit more. I appreciate everybody raising their hands and saying anything else you need from me, or can I do this, or I'll hop off and record this video conference, this audio conference. So it was good show. And it's already posted on the YouTube channel. So if you wanted to go back and watch it, share it with your families, do it. It looked really nice. Anything else?
Anytime.
Rock and roll.
We're all in this together.
Yeah.
All right. We'll see you guys Wednesday.
Bye. Bye, guys.
Bye.